Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. This week I wanted to kind of drill down a little bit more on this idea of Sabbath that we were talking about on Sunday and get very practical and talk about how we practice a weekly Sabbath. One of the challenges when we think about resting, like I was talking about on Sunday, and particularly Sabbath, is it strikes us as virtually impossible today. I remember talking with a friend a few years ago, and they had been with a group of people where the topic of Sabbath had come up, and somebody just said, that's just not even possible today. It's not practical. You can't do that. Well, it actually is, but there are some things we need to think about to try and really practice a weekly Sabbath. So I want to give a few possible tips. The first thing is you have to determine a day. The Sabbath isn't just something that, happens. What is the particular day? For most of us, that is going to be on Sunday. Because we want to be able to gather with God's people to worship. Now, there are some people, because of their particular job, it might not be that, and they might need a little bit of a different time. But for most of it, it's going to be Sunday because worship is essential. But what you might think about doing, which in fact we did when my kids were younger, was we practiced the Sabbath from Saturday evening to Sunday evening. It would be 24 hours, but we would kind of start it around somewhere between 6 and 8 on Saturday evening when the last of the kids' activities had finished, and then it would roll to the same time on Sunday evening. That gave us some time on Sunday to start kind of getting things ready for Monday, and it really fit our rhythm and routine better. Kind of goes back to the old Jewish way, because that's actually how the Jews tended to practice Sabbath. But you need to have this time set when it's going to be, and it generally would be the same time each week. Secondly, you need to protect that day. You need to make sure that it's going to be used for that. That means, number one, you do not schedule other things. When we had our Sabbath from Saturday evening to Sunday evening, that simply meant the answer for athletic leagues on Sundays was a no. It meant we did not engage in other activities on Sunday. That was not always popular with the kids, but it was important that we protected the day. We also, in protecting the day, you need to plan ahead. That means you may need to get some things done on Saturday so you're not running around doing them on Sunday. I mentioned on Sunday during the teaching that I don't mow the grass on Sunday, but that means there were times that I get home on Saturday afternoon from something and I'm tired and I got to run out and do it, or I'm doing it late Friday evening, or the grass is just going to grow more. But I plan so that I am not forced into doing something on Sunday. Third, it does mean that you restrict what you do. Okay, this is part of it. This is that idea of limits that we're talking about, the freedom of limits. When we say that you're having a Sabbath day, it's not a day where I'm not going to my work where I'm paid so I can catch up on other chores. This is when I'm going to go down and get shopping done for the week and for the family. This is when I'm going to get some cleaning done in the house, or I'm going to jump online and spend the whole day doing a bunch of shopping. The whole point is rest. Rest. If I were putting it up on the screen right now, it would be in big capital letters. Rest. That's what Sabbath is for. So for me personally, as I mentioned, I do not do yard work. I do not do grocery shopping for the week. I don't pay bills. I don't do finances. I don't do anything like that. The point is rest. I'm not legalistic about it because we're not under the law. We're under Christ. We are walking by grace, but the law does inform who we are in our practice, and the whole point was everything is supposed to cease. It's supposed to stop. So for example, I even try to avoid doing any kind of buying of things on Sunday because it'd be great if everybody could rest on a day. But I try to really restrict what I do. I would encourage you might really want to strongly consider not spending a lot of time on social media or the news. Nothing that would make your blood pressure spike, nothing that does it. Know what those things are and just say that is not part of my Sunday routine. It may be a little different for each person, but it's important that there are these limits that are going on because that limit is what brings the freedom. Next thing is plan for what you will do. In other words, it's not just a negative aspect, there is a positive aspect. And our phrase used to be God, family, and a few close friends. And that means, number one, we make worship gathering a priority. Worship gathering is not a priority for Brett because I'm a pastor and, well, I have to go do that. It has been a priority since the day I got saved. Since Jesus redeemed my wretched soul, gathering with God's people for worship has been an A1 priority. I can honestly say I don't ever remember when I've been home in my hometown and I woke up on a Sunday and just didn't go to a church gathering. Just didn't happen. I gather with God's people for worship. Unless I'm sick or if I'm out of town, in a way and I don't know a place to go, now I would jump online and do it. But I found a place to gather with God's people and to worship. Also, as I mentioned, family and a few close friends. You're going to have a great opportunity to do that this spring. Normally, we'll sometimes go over to people's house or have somebody over to ours, or we'll kind of hang out, go to the park, or whatever. This spring, we're going to be moving right back out on the hill, barring some major discovery and COVID comes to an immediate and abrupt end. We'll be meeting outside. When the weather's good, I encourage you, don't think of gathering with God's people and Sabbath as being something we do for a couple of hours on Sunday morning. Make a day of it. I remember hearing that, the Amish, when they gather, they meet in various people's homes. And when you open your home up, everybody's going to come over and you're going to spend the whole day together. They eat together, they play games together, they just enjoy being together. We can kind of get our Amish on, so to speak, this spring. When the weather's good, bring something to eat. We'll probably do a couple of formal church picnics, but bring something to eat. You'll have your chairs. Stay after. Spend the time. It's just a day for relaxation, for God, family, a few close friends. If you'll do that, you will be amazed at how refreshed you will feel at the end of the day. Now, you may be sitting here and saying, I just don't know how I can get everything done. And that's part of the point of Sabbath. Sabbath is like a speed bump in the road. It's like going through a community and saying, I'm trying to get up to 60 miles an hour, but I can't because they got these speed bumps every so often. Well, that's the point of the speed bump. Sabbath is like a speed bump in your life and in my life. It prevents you from putting too much stuff in. So sometimes to practice Sabbath, we have to cut things out. But that may be the biggest blessing that comes. There's the freedom. Sometimes less is more. And cutting out some things so that we can truly enjoy rest makes everything else much more enjoyable. So friends, I want to encourage you, enjoy God's gift of Sabbath. And if hearing this makes you say that, I don't think I could do that, I don't like the way that sounds, then I'd encourage you to get before God and ask, why is it that this gift you're giving me seems like a burden? Because that's usually a sign that something's becoming disordered in my soul. When we're in the place where it's rightly ordered, we recognize this is a gift and something you'll look forward to. Rest, Sabbath for body and soul. I hope this is encouraging and helps you to think through on how to apply this. And I look forward to gathering for worship again this Sunday when it'll be daylight savings time when we're changing the clock. So look forward to gathering at 10 a.m. on Sunday. God bless.